Meanwhile, neighboring Ukraine, Russia launched around 500 drones and 40 missiles in an overnight attack. In Kyiv, at least 3 people were killed and about 10 injured. It was one of the biggest Russian attacks on the Ukrainian capital and the surrounding region since a full-scale war began over 3 years ago. Several other regions were also hit. This Sunday, the Kremlin claimed it had struck military airfields and other facilities in Ukraine. Let's cross to the capital now, Kyiv, and speak to our correspondent, Aidan Stretch. Hello to you. Aidan, what more do we know about the attack?
Yeah, it was certainly a noisy night here in Kyiv. Here in the city center where I'm speaking to you now, we could hear the city's air defense guns go on at about 1:30 in the morning, and then drone fire began shortly thereafter. And the attack continued longer than most do, well into the morning until about 9:30 a.m. And as you mentioned, Ukraine says that Russia has sent about nearly 500 or more than that, nearly 600 drones into the country and about 40 missiles, most of which were intercepted by Ukraine's air defense, but a few managed to get through. We have reports that 2 residential blocks just outside of Kyiv, most of the houses were completely destroyed. And unfortunately, it's safe to say that we can only expect these sorts of attacks to continue and increase in the future, not only from the Russian side, but also from the Ukrainians ramping up their own aerial assaults against Russia. Earlier this week, we heard President Zelensky say that if Russia continues to attack critical infrastructure and target civilians as they have in attacks like this, Ukraine will be forced to show Moscow what winter blackouts look like. And this all comes at a time where the ceasefire talks that seemed to be gaining momentum earlier this year have stalled, and front lines, of course, are frozen as well. And so what that leaves are these aerial assaults which attack not only critical infrastructure, but seek to deal a psychological blow to the populations of the countries that are fighting.
Yeah, and in addition to that psychological blow, amid all these massive attacks by Russia in the recent days and weeks, there have been incursions into NATO airspace. Russia says they were not intentional. NATO claims otherwise. Moscow's influence in the region, also a concern for the West. And just before you came on air, Aidan, we were discussing the elections in neighboring Moldova, Ukraine's neighboring country. How is that poll being discussed where you are?
Yeah, I was able to catch some of Mary's analysis there about the Russian cyber attacks, disinformation campaigns, vote buying efforts. These are all things that people here in Kyiv are following very closely. Ukraine, of course, shares a large swath of its southwestern border with Moldova. It stretches about 1,200 kilometers long. And up to this point, that border's been very quiet since the war began. Although there is Transnistria right there, which is an autonomous region of Moldova controlled by forces sympathetic to Russia. And there are about 1,500 Russian troops stationed there. Now, Moldovan intelligence assessments suggest that Putin would like to increase that number to about 10,000 troops, but has been unlikely to do so because of what has been a pro-European government there in Moldova. Now, of course, if this government were to change, albeit analysts do deem that unlikely that Russia would be able to get these troops there, it could potentially destabilize that southwestern border for Ukraine. But more importantly, what people here are following more closely is the effects that this election could have for Moldova's European trajectory. Both Moldova and Ukraine joined their EU candidate status together in 2022. And since then, Brussels has signaled no interest in separating those two EU bids. And so what people in Ukraine are worried about is that if pro-Russian forces do end up entering Moldova's parliament, this could deal a blow not only to Moldova's European integration, but also put Ukraine's European trajectory in jeopardy as well.
Aidan, thank you very much. Aidan Stretch reporting from Kyiv.